Mark stared at the unlocked phone in his trembling hands, the glow illuminating his stunned face. One notification. That's all it took to shatter everything he thought he knew about his charming new neighbor. If you're watching this, you're about to witness how a single text message changed two broken lives forever. Hey there. If you're enjoying this emotional journey, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more stories that will touch your heart. Your support means the world to us. The first time Mark Jenkins saw Ellie Chen moving boxes into the apartment across the hall, he barely registered her presence. At 42, with perpetual dark circles under his eyes and a 6-year-old daughter demanding every ounce of his attention, attractive neighbors weren't exactly on his radar. Need any help with those? He'd asked automatically, the words tumbling out before he could stop them, an old habit from before Claire had died. Ellie had looked up, startled, blowing a strand of dark hair from her face. I'm good, but thanks, she'd replied with a quick smile before disappearing back into her apartment. That should have been it. A forgettable exchange between two strangers sharing a hallway in their apartment building. Nothing more. Mark returned to his apartment where Emma was sprawled on the living room floor, surrounded by crayons and construction paper. His daughter glanced up briefly, her small face serious as she concentrated on her artwork. Who was that, Daddy? She asked, carefully selecting a purple crayon. New neighbor, Mark answered, settling onto the couch with his laptop, already refocusing on the freelance graphic design project that was due tomorrow. Being a single father meant working whenever Emma gave him a moment of peace. The next few days passed in their usual blur, school drop-offs, client deadlines, grocery shopping, bedtime stories. Mark barely noticed Ellie coming and going, though Emma, with a child's natural curiosity, waved enthusiastically whenever they crossed paths. It was Friday evening when their paths truly crossed. Mark was juggling grocery bags while trying to unlock his door when Emma's backpack split open, sending books and toys cascading down the hallway. Perfect, he muttered, dropping his keys in the process. Here, let me help. Ellie appeared suddenly, gathering scattered crayons and stickers. She was wearing scrubs, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Rough day? Just the usual chaos, Mark replied, finally managing to push his door open. Emma, never shy, immediately launched into conversation. Do you like dinosaurs? I'm learning about them in school. The T-Rex has the strongest bite of any land animal ever. Ellie smiled, handing Emma her rescued possessions. I do like dinosaurs. I especially like the Triceratops. That's my second favorite. Emma exclaimed, eyes widening with delight. Mark recognized the look on his daughter's face. It was the same expression she wore when discovering a new friend. Would you like to come in for coffee? He found himself asking, surprising even himself. Or tea? As a thank you for the rescue. Ellie hesitated, checking her watch. I actually just finished a 12-hour shift at Children's Hospital, but maybe a quick cup? 1 cup of tea turned into 2 hours of conversation. Emma dominated much of it, peppering Ellie with questions about her job as a pediatric nurse, while Mark prepared a simple dinner. When he invited Ellie to stay, she accepted with what seemed like genuine pleasure. It was the first time in 3 years that an adult conversation had filled his apartment. The first time Emma had bubbled with excitement about someone other than her school friends. The first time Mark had laughed, really laughed, in longer than he cared to remember. As Ellie prepared to leave, she pulled out her phone to check the time. I didn't realize it was so late. I should go, early shift tomorrow. It was nice having you, Mark said, feeling suddenly awkward. Was this how adults made friends? He couldn't remember anymore. We should do it again sometime, Ellie suggested, slipping on her shoes. Maybe next week when I'm not dead on my feet? I'd like that, he replied, surprised at how much he meant it. After she left, Mark found himself smiling as he washed the dishes. Emma had already declared Ellie the best neighbor ever, and was planning all the things they could do together. Slow down, kiddo, Mark cautioned. Ms. Chen is very busy with her job. She helps sick children get better. Like Mommy did before she went to heaven? Emma asked, her voice small. Mark's heart clenched. Claire had been a high school teacher, not a nurse, but Emma often conflated all helping professions. A little different, but yes, she helps people. That night, as he tucked Emma into bed, his daughter whispered, "Daddy, I think Miss Chen is lonely too." Out of the mouths of babes. Mark kissed her forehead. Maybe she is, sweetheart. The following weeks brought a gradual shift in their routine. Ellie would stop by with leftover cookies from the hospital bake sale. Mark would help her carry groceries up when their schedules aligned. Emma would slip drawings under Ellie's door when they knew she was working late. It was comfortable. Uncomplicated. Until the Wednesday evening Ellie came over for dinner and forgot her phone on Mark's coffee table. He didn't notice until after she'd left and Emma was in bed. The screen lit up with a notification, and without thinking, Mark glanced down. "Dr. Watkins, oncology test results are in. Can you come in tomorrow to discuss treatment options? ****. Mark froze, his hand hovering over the phone. Oncology. Treatment options. The words hit him like physical blows, echoing the devastating conversation he'd had with Claire's doctors 3 years ago. His first instinct was to pretend he hadn't seen it. It was private, not meant for his eyes. But as he stared at the phone, another notification appeared. "Mom, did you tell your new friends yet? You can't keep hiding this, Ellie, ****. Mark set the phone down, his mind racing. Ellie had cancer? She was hiding it? The vibrant, compassionate woman who had brought so much unexpected light into their lives was sick? He didn't sleep that night, torn between respecting her privacy and confronting what he'd seen. By morning, he'd decided to simply return the phone and let Ellie tell him in her own time, if she ever chose to. But when he knocked on her door at 7 a.m., knowing she'd need her phone before work, the conversation didn't go as planned. "Oh, thank goodness," Ellie exclaimed, relief washing over her tired face as she took the phone. "I was tearing my place apart looking for this." "It was on the coffee table," Mark explained, trying to act normal. "You must have set it down during dinner." Ellie scrolled quickly through her notifications, and Mark saw the exact moment she realized what he might have seen. Her face paled, and she looked up at him with wide, fearful eyes. "Did you?" she began, then stopped. "I saw a notification when it lit up," Mark admitted, unable to lie. "I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to invade your privacy." Ellie's shoulders slumped. "It's okay. I should have told you anyway." An awkward silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken words. "Do you want to come in?" she finally asked. "I think I owe you an explanation." Ellie's apartment was the mirror image of his, but while Mark's was cluttered with Emma's toys and his work supplies, hers was minimally furnished, as if she hadn't fully committed to staying. The only personal touches were photographs, Ellie with an older couple, presumably her parents, Ellie in her nursing scrubs with a team of hospital staff, Ellie holding a small boy. She gestured for Mark to sit on her couch while she paced nervously. "It's not what you think," she began. "I don't have cancer." Relief flooded through Mark, followed immediately by confusion. "But the message from oncology is about my son, Lucas." Ellie stopped in front of a photograph Mark hadn't noticed, picking it up with gentle hands. "He's 8. He was diagnosed with leukemia 2 years ago." The floor seemed to drop from beneath Mark's feet. "Your son? I didn't know you had a child." Ellie's eyes filled with tears. "He's with my parents in Seattle right now. They've been caring for him while I..." Her voice broke. Mark waited, giving her time to collect herself. "I had to move here for this job. The pediatric oncology unit at Children's is part of a clinical trial that Lucas qualified for. It was our last option after standard treatments failed. She set the photo down carefully. The plan was for my parents to bring him once I was settled and had arranged everything with the hospital. But his condition worsened, and he couldn't travel. I'm so sorry, Mark whispered, the words inadequate against the weight of her revelation. Ellie wiped her eyes. The good news is the latest treatment they're administering in Seattle is working. His numbers are improving. But it means more time apart, and She looked around her sparse apartment. I couldn't bring myself to fully move in, knowing I might need to go back. I couldn't let myself get attached to anything. Or anyone. The last words hung in the air between them. That's why you've never mentioned him, Mark realized. It hurts too much. Ellie nodded, wrapping her arms around herself. And selfishly, when I'm with you and Emma, I get to pretend for a little while that my life isn't falling apart. That I'm just a normal person having a normal friendship. There's nothing selfish about needing a break from constant worry, Mark said gently. I remember after Claire died, sometimes I'd get so lost in a project that I'd forget for a few minutes. Then I'd remember and feel guilty for forgetting, even for a moment. Yes, exactly, Ellie whispered. The guilt is almost worse than the pain sometimes. Mark stood and, after a moment's hesitation, pulled Ellie into a hug. She stiffened briefly before relaxing against him, her tears soaking into his shirt. You don't have to carry this alone, he told her. Not anymore. That morning changed everything. Mark called into work, claiming a family emergency, and spent hours listening as Ellie showed him photos of Lucas and shared stories of his courage through endless treatments. They talked about Claire too, how she died suddenly in a car accident, leaving Mark to navigate grief and single parenthood simultaneously. When Emma returned from school that afternoon, Mark explained in simple terms that Ellie had a little boy who was very sick. Is he going to die? Emma asked bluntly, with the directness only children possess. The doctors are doing everything they can to make him better, Mark answered honestly. Emma considered this, then declared, we should send him a care package. With dinosaur stickers and jokes to make him laugh. And so began Operation Cheer Up Lucas. Emma dedicated herself to the project with fierce determination, carefully selecting toys she was willing to part with and creating handmade cards. Mark contacted Ellie's parents, coordinating the surprise delivery. The first video call between Emma and Lucas was tentative. Lucas, thin and pale with a colorful beanie covering his head, was shy at first. But when Emma launched into an elaborate tale about her imaginary pet T-Rex, his small face lit up with interest. I like velociraptors better, he said softly. They hunt in packs. That's so cool. Emma exclaimed. Dad, can Lucas teach me about velociraptors when he comes to visit? The innocent question hung in the air. Ellie and Mark exchanged glances over the children's heads. I hope so, sweetheart, Ellie answered carefully. The weeks that followed developed a new rhythm. Mark's apartment became their gathering place, where Ellie would come after shifts to video call Lucas with Emma eagerly joining in. Mark found himself rearranging his work schedule to be present for these calls, drawn to the connection forming between the children and, if he was honest, to Ellie's growing presence in their lives. One evening, after Emma had gone to bed, Ellie lingered in Mark's kitchen, helping him load the dishwasher. Dr. Watkins called today, she said, trying to keep her voice casual. Lucas's latest tests show the treatment is working even better than they hoped. They're talking about him being able to travel in a few months. Mark set down the plate he was rinsing. That's incredible news. It is, Ellie agreed, her smile tremulous. And I'm terrified. Of what? Of hoping too much. Of making plans. Every time I've done that before, something has gone wrong. She leaned against the counter. But also, I'm scared of how much I want this to work. Not just Lucas's treatment, but... She gestured vaguely between them. This. Whatever is happening here. Mark stepped closer, taking her hands in his. I'm scared too. After Claire died, I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again. I didn't want to. And now? Ellie whispered. Now I find myself making plans again. Thinking about the future. Wondering if there's room in it for all of us. Ellie's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. I'd like that. To see if we could build something together, once Lucas is here. Mark pulled her close, resting his forehead against hers. Then that's what we'll do. One day at a time. The journey wasn't simple or straightforward. There were setbacks in Lucas's treatment that sent Ellie flying back to Seattle for agonizing weeks. There were moments when grief for Claire would ambush Mark, leaving him withdrawn and distant. There were adjustments as Emma processed the idea of sharing her father's attention with not just Ellie, but eventually Lucas too. But there were beautiful moments that made the difficult ones worthwhile. The day Lucas was finally cleared to travel. His arrival at the apartment, thin and tired but with bright, curious eyes that took in everything. The careful friendship that grew between the children as they discovered shared interests beyond just dinosaurs. And 6 months later, the day Lucas's oncologist officially used the word remission during a checkup, and the cautious celebration that followed, a small gathering in Mark's apartment that felt, for the first time, truly like a home for all of them. That evening, after the children had fallen asleep, Lucas in Emma's room on a temporary bed that was looking increasingly permanent, Mark found Ellie on the balcony, gazing up at the stars. "Penny, for your thoughts?" he asked, joining her. "I was just thinking about the day I moved in. How lost and alone I felt." She turned to him with a smile. "And how one forgotten phone changed everything." Mark wrapped his arm around her shoulders, pulling her close against the night chill. "I'm glad you forgot it." "Me too," she whispered, leaning her head against his shoulder. "It led me home." As the stars continued to shine above them, Mark and Ellie stood in comfortable silence, both understanding that sometimes life's most profound turns come from its smallest moments, a forgotten phone, a text message, a simple act of kindness between neighbors that bloomed into something neither could have imagined. They had all been broken in different ways, Mark by sudden loss, Ellie by prolonged fear, Emma by the absence of her mother, Lucas by the illness that had claimed so much of his childhood. But together, they were finding a way to be whole again. And that, perhaps, was the most unexpected gift of all. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who might need a reminder that hope can be found in the most unexpected places. Sometimes, the family we need isn't the one we're born into, but the one we build together, one connection at a time.